Hey folks, Neelanjan here, and today we'll be learning about ChaosHubs. ChaosHub is a centralized repository that facilitates the management and execution of chaos experiments within Harness Chaos Engineering. It allows users to orchestrate chaos experiments either from a wide range of predefined faults and experiments provided as part of the Enterprise Chaos Hub, or from forked custom repositories containing custom chaos experiments known as private chaos hubs. There are several features of ChaosHub, including firstly, ChaosHub allows seamless orchestration of chaos experiments where the users can select, tune, and sequence different faults together to create a comprehensive chaos experiment. These experiments help in the testing the resilience and stability of applications by intentionally introducing failures and monitoring how the system responds. ChaosHub also allows connecting multiple Git repositories that can be both public or private. This enables users to manage and sync their customized chaos experiments and keep them up to date with changes from the original repositories. Additionally, it can also simplify the access control and sharing of the custom chaos experiments across different projects and accounts within Harness. Harness Chaos Engineering also provides an extensive collection of predefined experiments and faults as part of the Enterprise Chaos Hub. With more than 160 predefined chaos faults and experiments for platforms including Kubernetes, Linux, AWS, VMware, Azure, GCP, Cloud Foundry, and Windows, among others, it makes it easier for users to find and use relevant faults for their specific needs. Lastly, ChaosHub aids with the management of custom chaos experiments within an organization. Users can create their own custom experiments by modifying existing chaos charts or creating new ones that are tailored to their application's specific needs. Then, these custom experiments are stored and executed through the ChaosHub. Now, let's see the ChaosHub in action, where we'll use the Enterprise ChaosHub to execute a chaos experiment. So here we are in the Harness Chaos Engineering overview page. In order to access the chaos hubs, we can go to the sidebar menu and select chaos hubs. This page lists all the chaos hubs that are present under your project. So we can see that right now only the Enterprise Chaos Hub, which is the default chaos hub, is present here. But if you want to add a new chaos hub, which is a custom chaos hub, you can go to the new chaos hub and add it, as we will see in some time. So if we try to browse the Enterprise Chaos Hub, we can see the different faults and experiment templates that are present inside it by default. So the faults have been categorized into different categories, as we can see. So let us try to get a comprehensive understanding of these faults. Starting with the AWS faults, we have ECS, EC2, RDS, Lambda, Windows EC2, and load balancer level of faults. Then for Azure, we have different VM instance faults such as VM instance CPU hog, IO stress, and so on. For Cloud Foundry, we have different app level faults such as Cloud Foundry app stop, app container kill, app network loss, and so on. Moving on to GCP, we again have different VM instance level faults such as VM instance stop, VM instance stop by label, then VM disk loss, and so on. Then for Kubernetes, we have different pod and node level faults. So this includes pod delete, pod CPU hog, pod network loss, and so on. While for node level, we have node CPU hog, node network latency, node restart, and so on. Then we have the VMware experiments. So VMware experiments predominantly work on the VMware vCenter. So for the vCenter VMs, we have VM power off, disk loss, HTTP reset, VMware Windows network loss, and so on. Then we have the Linux faults. So these work on a native Linux machine. So under the Linux faults, we have Linux CPU stress, Linux process kill, Linux service restart, Linux network rate limit, and so on. Lastly, we also have the Windows native faults. So these faults work on a native Windows machine. So this includes Windows CPU stress, Windows memory stress, and Windows black hole chaos, that is the network chaos. So that summarizes the list of faults that we have as part of the enterprise chaos hub. Moving on to the experiment templates, as we understood before, these are all the experiments that are predefined and can be launched directly from here. Now, of course, this is the list of predefined experiments that you get with your enterprise chaos hub, but you can also add your own experiments to this chaos hub, as we'll see in some time. So let's say right now I want to launch experiment from these list of experiment templates. For example, if I go to GCP and I want to execute VM instance job, I can do so by simply selecting this launch experiment button, select my chaos infrastructure, which I have already connected here. And then I just need to fill out some of the minor details that this fault includes the GCP VM instance top fault, such as the VM instance name, project ID, etc. And we can also specify any of the probes that we have. So I've already created a probe. I'll just add it here. And with that, our experiment is ready. So you saw that how easy it is to get started with the predefined experiments in harness chaos engineering. So now that our experiment has been saved here, that is one way to launch an experiment using the chaos hub. The other way you can create the same effect using the faults, the list of faults that you have, is select a new experiment here. Let's say I want to do GCP VM disk loss this time. I will select a chaos infrastructure, and then I will choose the to use the experiments that are present in my hub. So if I choose a blank canvas here, it will allow me to select the faults from the hubs that I have. So here I can choose to add an experiment, and we can see the name of the hub appear on the right hand side and all the faults that are there inside here. So we can go to the GCP section here and choose the GCP VM disk loss, for example. So again, we are expected to add some of the details that are required here for the fault and a probe, and that should be enough to add our fault. But additionally, what you can also do here is you can add different faults in a sequence. So let's say I want to add another fault in parallel, such as let's say GCP VM service skill. So I can achieve that in the way that you saw. I can just simply add it in parallel to my previous fault. And similarly, we'll have to again fill up the details for this fault and add a probe, which is applicable to this fault. And yeah, with that, basically we are ready with our custom chaos experiment, which we can use to assess the resilience of our GCP VMs. So now let's say that this custom chaos experiment needs to be saved into a chaos hub for its management and to be shared within your organization. So what you can simply do is under this chaos experiments page where you can list all your chaos experiments, you can select the right hand menu and choose to add to chaos hub. But since we do not have a chaos hub right now, let's first of all go and create a chaos hub. To add a new chaos hub, we can simply select the new chaos hub button here and then provide a name here. Select continue. And now we need to provide a chaos hub connector. So a chaos hub connector is nothing but a Git repository connector of a hosted Git repo, which is a fork of our enterprise chaos hub. Or more essentially, it should contain the same directory structure as the enterprise chaos hub, such that any of our experiment manifest or custom fault manifest can be stored within it, such that harness chaos engineering will be interpreting those manifests as proper experiments and faults. So with that being said, I have already connected my Git repository, which is a fork of the enterprise chaos hub, with some more faults and experiments. So I'll just select that repository here. And I then need to provide the branch in which my artifacts exist. So I'll just name it as custom hub. That is the name of my branch, and go on to connect the hub. So my hub has been connected now. We can see the different faults here. So it has 175 faults and experiments as opposed to the 169 faults and experiments in the enterprise chaos hub. So now if I go back to my chaos experiments page and I try to save this experiment to the chaos hub, we can do so again, and I'll name it chaos GCP VM disk loss 123, and in the same thing I'll add to the description with a custom tag here, and then I'll add the hub, that is the custom hub which we just connected, to be saved. So now if I save it here, we can see that it has been added to the hub. To confirm, we can go back to our chaos hubs, open our custom chaos hub, and in this time we can see that the experiment templates has 176 experiments here. And if we search here for GCP VM disk loss, we can see that our custom experiment has been added here as GCP VM disk loss 123. In the background, if you also go to your Git repository, you should be able to see a new chaos experiment manifest file has been added to that Git repository. So yeah, that's a good overview on what is chaos hubs and what does it entail. So hopefully you'll be able to now open new experiments using chaos hub, as well as manage and orchestrate your chaos faults and experiments. Thank you.